Hi folks, happy Friday. I wanted to come to you with your weekly announcement with the recording, a screencast that seems to be helping folks. Just a few things to wrap up from week 4. I really am enjoying listening to, reading your teaching lessons and listening to you guys in your lesson demonstrations. That's been really fascinating and fun to see. I'm in the continued process of giving feedback on those, and essentially everyone did great. So in terms of numeric ranking grade, you're most likely going to be seeing a 100. Where you may see some feedback is, hey, I wonder if you want to think about this or ponder approaching this concept from a different angle. Or in a lesson plan genre of writing, you might want to think about adding these components or making this a little more clear. Those of you who did a recording this time, you'll be doing a written lesson next time, unless you choose to do a recording again. Those of you who did a written lesson will need to make sure that you do a recording next time. And then don't forget that we want to see you incorporating the concepts from the course. So if we've really done a deep dive, for instance, this week in week 4, we've been asking you to think about the 5-paragraph essay, kind of elephant in the room. That's an ongoing debate. And we see you incorporating a lesson with something like a very structured type of writing. We want to make sure that it's very clear what your purpose is in that and why you're making that choice, having a clear rationale. And making sure we're not embodying a deficit model for students, meaning they couldn't possibly write without having this very concrete structure in front of them. So things like that, we want to make sure that that's coming through clearly. Also, just to touch way back on week 3, where you all submitted your writing autobiographies. I'm also in the process of giving feedback on those. And so remember, my goal in that is to help point to things in your history that might impact your philosophies about writing and its teaching or its purpose in a certain environment that you're interested in terms of scholarship and career-wise. I also want to emphasize the importance of the writing group time and making sure that you definitely give feedback to each other and making sure that all of your group members, I think most of you are sticking in your reading groups, which is great, but making sure that all of your group members give feedback. So it may have been some people did not get feedback, and nobody needs to go back and redo that because we've already submitted that assignment, so it doesn't make sense in the process for that now. But in the future, maybe sharing an email to say, okay, I'm going to look at this person's and this person's, who else, just making that a little more clear rather than just making the assumption that everyone's going to look around for people. Also note that if for some reason you submit your draft later than the prescribed due date on our schedule, then you may not get feedback because people don't have the time to go back and look at that, okay? So we definitely want to make sure on both ends that we're making clear communication with the people that we're working with, because that feedback is really, really important. Okay, moving into week 5, just want to go over our to-do list. We do have our readings from our 2 texts, and then I'm sharing an excerpt from Dr. Cindy Urbanski, a good friend of mine's text called Using the Workshop Approach and Approaching Writing Like Coaching. And I hope that you enjoy that. You're going to get a sense of what modeling is like this week. I'll be demonstrating that a little bit in a couple of the workshops as well. We will have, so we're back to a regular weekly musing written discussion post for this week. So you're back to kind of the usual for that. Since you guys, again, are doing so well with that, you likely will get basic rubric feedback, and I'll just address any issues for clarification or to nudge you in a certain direction of thinking as needed. One of the modules this week, several of them, excuse me, the video workshops do not have distinct evidence of participation, but we are expecting you now, as we have some of these workshops, imagine this is like your face-to-face class time. So this is something that we would do in class together. You're doing that on your own in the online environment. So it is time consuming. And just like in class, I wouldn't necessarily grade your participation in the activity through discussion or daybook writing, but I would expect the concepts to come up in some other avenue, like an online discussion forum or like a future assignment. So as you're viewing these, and if you find any frustration, like, man, this is taking me so long and I don't even have to do anything for it, so why even do it? Just know that this is your class time, okay? So that's kind of the purpose of these, is to give you a sense of what we might do were we sitting together in a classroom, right? I'll talk about writing into the day, which is a daybook strategy that I use, and you'll see me modeling that. I try to do modeling a couple of times in our work this week. So that's one module and video workshop. The other is giving you more of a history of composition and where it's coming from. And I have the PowerPoint if you want to download that, but then the video here, which of course has some stopping and starting and asking you to participate. And again, that one is not requiring any particular evidence due either. We just want to see how these concepts might be shaping your future assignments, your current assignments, your weekly musings, so it may find its way as a reference in a sentence or two as you're writing your musing, or it may pop in to help you craft your writing assignment design, or it may help you, you may reference something, or it may send you to a source that I reference in some of those video workshops. Okay, you do have another module that has a video connected to it while I model some process work that I want you to do for your inquiry project, and then your writing assignment design. Okay, so I model the inquiry project portion since you've already kind of gotten some ideas going with your writing assignment design. So this is a new blog, and what we will be doing is using the blog space as process, kind of keeping you accountable for moving these two major assignments forward in the semester. And then you'll have bigger due dates for draft work, as well as, for instance, the design element, the first part of the writing assignment design, okay? But we're using the blog space, again, low stakes, so that you can get feedback from me, and just to keep yourself accountable moving it forward. And this video will help you with that. This is an optional video. Developing your research question for your inquiry portfolio is a very important step. And you're going to see me pushing you away from yes, no questions. Can this do that? Or does this do that with the elements that you're thinking about in your research questions? And so this video, while not specifically designed for this class, is just a good overview about how to word your questions. It's a relatively short video, and so this is optional, certainly, as you have time, but this may be something good to check out if you're struggling with the wording of your research questions. So we have lots of things that you're involved with and getting engaged in this week, but it's not a lot that's requiring you to submit something, okay? So this is where you can plan your week accordingly, listen and watch and participate in the videos as it makes sense for you. These due dates are just to say, hey, so that you don't bleed into next week, you really want to have these complete by the end of this week. And of course, this last one does have some participation required for it. Just to get you on the horizon, and why the process work for the writing assignment design is important this week, your blog post in week 5, is that we do have the design part of the writing assignment design, just the design phase and the reflection letter that will be using a grade and be a part of the grade for this assignment coming up Sunday, October 7th. So that's just something to keep in your mind. But then to remember that we have 3 parts to this assignment. So please do not get hung up on the numeric ranking grade. This class is very much about challenging yourself and growing. And so the next 2 phases of the writing assignment design will be just as, if not more important. I would say that final phase, the reflection and revision phase, is the most important part. Okay, so as you're reading through the work this week, please don't hesitate to contact me if for any reason at this point in the semester you're feeling lost, or like you don't understand something, it's time to schedule a meeting with me. We can do that on the phone, or we can have a Zoom conference where we can see each other, or I can share my screen with you to help you with anything. But we are here and we are eager to work with you, so please don't hesitate to ask for help if you need it. Thanks so much. I hope you guys have a great weekend.